The asteroid belt in the outermost fringe of the Verdani system had been quiet for centuries, a forgotten graveyard of space rock and frozen ice. No one paid it much attention, not until the sudden, inexplicable explosion shattered the eerie stillness. The Galactic Concorde's investigation fleet arrived within hours, warships cutting through the void, their sensors scanning for any sign of what caused the blast. Captain Velka, commanding the reconnaissance cruiser Starwarden, frowned at the readings. "Captain, there's nothing here. No radiation spikes, no weapon signatures. It's as if the explosion happened in a vacuum without any source." Velka tightened her grip on the console. Could it be a natural phenomenon? An asteroid collision? Negative. The debris patterns don't match anything natural. It's like something disappeared. Behind the science team's questions, an uneasy silence hung in the ship's command room. The sudden disappearance of an entire cluster of asteroids, without trace or explanation, was unprecedented. Meanwhile, far from the curious eyes of the Galactic Concorde, beneath the fractured crust of Luna, something immense was awakening. Deep inside a hidden cavern beneath the moon's south pole, vast chambers hummed with energy. A network of crystalline conduits pulsed softly, feeding power into a colossal structure that dwarfed any known ship. The massive warship, codenamed Terran Resolve, stirred after decades of silence, its ancient systems booting up with slow, deliberate precision. A voice echoed through the control chamber, calm and steady, yet laced with undeniable authority. Activation sequence complete. Gaia-class entity Wish, Shora 1 operational. Defensive protocols engaged. Awaiting command. Colonel Sarah Thorne stood before the main observation deck, eyes fixed on the holographic display of the ship's outer hull, a living map of armor, weapon arrays, and energy conduits. "The galaxy doesn't know we exist," she muttered, voice barely above a whisper. Behind her, engineers and AI technicians monitored the ship's status, ensuring every system was ready. Decades of secret development, stolen technologies, and relentless human will had birthed this silent guardian. Back aboard the Starwarden, sensors suddenly flickered. "Captain, something is moving at sublight velocity beyond the Perseus arm. It's enormous. Repeat, enormous." The science officer's voice cracked with disbelief. Velka's eyes widened. "Size estimate?" "Roughly planet-sized." The room erupted into chaos. Messages flooded the comm channels as other fleet commanders scrambled to verify the readings. But before any other sensors could respond, the massive object vanished from all scans as if swallowed by the void. The cloaking technology, it must be far beyond ours, Velka concluded grimly. Could it be a new weapon? A rogue faction? Another officer speculated. Or worse, Velka said, something hidden in plain sight. On Earth, in a secure underground command center far from prying eyes, General Marcus Raines watched the unfolding events with steely calm. The ancient threats humanity had prepared for, the ones the galaxy refused to believe, were stirring. "Everything is proceeding as planned," he said to his aide, a young officer named Lena. Lena frowned. "Sir, the Council will never accept this. If they discover the warships—" "They won't," Marcus interrupted. "Not yet. We keep building, hiding, waiting. The day we reveal ourselves is the day we fight for our survival." He turned, back to the screens, watching images of distant stars and empty space. The secret fleet beneath the moon, the vanished asteroid belt, the shadows moving silently beyond the known galaxy. All threads woven into a plan centuries in the making. Meanwhile, a Corel scout vessel slipped through the dark expanse near the Perseus arm, its sensors locked on the anomaly. The pilot, a sharp-eyed officer named Vrax, felt a chill crawl down his exoskeleton as the giant silhouette loomed ahead. "This can't be," Vrax whispered, fingers tightening on the controls. Before a distress beacon could be sent, a sudden beam of energy slammed into the scout ship, tearing through its hull like paper. The vessel exploded in a blinding flash, swallowed by the abyss. Back on the Starwarden, Velka received the emergency broadcast. "Commander Vrax's ship is lost," the message said grimly. We've crossed a line, Velka murmured, her voice heavy with realization. Whatever this is, humanity's secret. It's no accident. They've been preparing for something we don't understand. The Galactic Concord scrambled to respond, but the seed of doubt was planted. Humanity was no longer the naive newcomer. Something vast and terrifying had been growing in the shadows. In the secret command center beneath Luna, Colonel Thorne listened to the reports from space with a grim smile. Let them chase shadows. They'll find nothing but ghosts. She turned to the holographic display of Terran Resolve, the planet-sized warship humming with latent power. The galaxy thinks they're ready for war, but they're not ready for us. And with that, humanity's silent titan began its slow, deliberate march into the stars. The twilight of the Rylax cluster was shattered by silence. For months, the asteroids mined by the Omega Consortium had been a steady source of rare elements. Platinum group metals, exotic gases, and energy crystals coveted across the Galactic Concord. The mining stations were small but numerous, scattered like fireflies across the dark void. Then, one by one, the radio transmissions ceased. It began with Station Sigma 17. Contact was lost abruptly, with no distress call or warning. The fleet sent probes to investigate. The first probes vanished without a trace. Admiral Takan of the Krell Patrol Fleet leaned over the comm panel in his flagship Harrower, brow furrowed. "Report," he barked. Lieutenant Morvis's voice was tight, strained with disbelief. "Admiral, the entire asteroid field and the mining installations are gone. Sensors detect no debris, no remnants, nothing. It's as if they were erased." "Impossible," Takan growled. "There's no known weapon with that level of power." "Agreed, sir," Morvis said. "But we've lost contact with every probe sent after Sigma 17. This is no accident." Takan stared out at the swirling star field beyond the viewport. Heart pounding. "Inform the Galactic Council and send a distress signal to the human diplomatic mission in the Rylax cluster." On board the human diplomatic cruiser Resolute, Ambassador Hara Wen received the distress call with a faint smile that didn't reach her eyes. "Prepare the standard reply," she instructed her aide. "Denial. No human involvement. The consortium may have suffered technical failures." Her mind raced, but her voice was steady as she transmitted the statement to the council. The truth was buried deep, buried beneath layers of deception, beneath the surface of Rylax 9, hidden in a cavern, larger than a city, one of the newest Gaia-class warships quietly powered up. Unlike Terran Resolve under Luna's surface, this vessel had remained dormant for decades, until now. Within the warship's command center, Captain Eli Vargas stood rigidly at attention, eyes locked on the deep space sensor array. "Mining operations have ceased," Vargas reported to the AI core. "The field has been secured and evacuated without incident. Protocol indicates this cluster was a resource harvesting zone for fleet construction," the AI intoned in its neutral voice. "Continuing secrecy imperative." "Agreed," Vargas said. "Send a localized stealth pulse to scramble external sensors. If any unauthorized vessels approach, prepare for immediate defense." Meanwhile, the Galactic Council debated in the gleaming halls of the Citadel of Light. The human delegation sat quietly, listening to accusations and demands. Humanity must explain the sudden disappearance of the Rylax asteroid mines, Councillor Vinar demanded, his many eyes narrowing. "Our probes detected a planet-sized mass cloaked nearby. The timing is no coincidence." Ambassador Wen's voice was calm but firm. "The allegations lack evidence. Humanity has no interest in destabilizing resource extraction. Our mining protocols comply with Concord regulations." The council chamber buzzed with tension, but no proof was forthcoming. The humans played their part perfectly, silent, evasive, and inscrutable. Back in deep space, a Corel reconnaissance vessel moved cautiously toward the last known coordinates of the missing mining field. Lieutenant Morvis, now commanding, the scout ship Viper's Fang, gripped the control console with white-knuckled intensity. "Sensors detect faint gravitational anomalies," Morvis reported. "There's something enormous cloaked in this sector, an object the size of a small moon." "Can we scan it?" demanded Commander Koresh from the adjacent station. Morvis hesitated. "The cloaking tech disrupts all scanning arrays. Only low-frequency neutrino pulses can penetrate, but even those return scrambled data. Suddenly, alarms blared. The ship shook violently. Impact detected. We've been hit by a high-energy pulse, Morvis shouted. Hull breach is imminent. Drowse. Viper's fangs shuddered as systems failed one by one. In the final moments, Morvis activated the distress beacon. On Earth, General Marcus Raines received the distress signal seconds before it went silent. He watched the data feed showing a blip disappearing into a cloak. Another lost vessel, Raines said grimly. Lieutenant Lena leaned over. They're pushing too close. If the Council keeps poking, they'll find us. We'll be ready, Raines replied. The fleet is waking up. Let them find out what's been hiding in the dark. Back on the shattered moon of Luna, Colonel Dyer. Sarah Thorne monitored the escalating crisis. The Council suspects us, she said, voice low. General Raines nodded. Good. Fear makes them slow. But when the warships come out of hiding, they'll realize they underestimated humanity. A soft pulse ran through the moon's cavern, the heartbeat of a dormant titan stirring awake. The galaxy watched in anxious silence as the mystery deepened. Asteroid fields disappeared without trace. Probes vanished. Cloaked, planet-sized warships lurked just beyond detection. The humans, quiet, secretive, and relentless, were no longer the timid newcomers. They were something else entirely. And the galaxy was not prepared for what was coming. The Galactic Concorde's fleet had gathered near Earth's orbit under the guise of a diplomatic mission, but the tension was palpable. Warships from half a dozen species filled the starry black, their weapons trained not just on Earth but on Luna, the silent sentinel of humanity's home system. Admiral Vinar, a tall, six-eyed reptilian of the Drakari, stood on the bridge of his flagship Vanguard's Wrath, eyes flickering over the holographic star charts. This demonstration of force is necessary, he said, voice cold and deliberate. Humanity's continued silence and the disappearance of mining colonies cannot be tolerated. We demand transparency. Ambassador Hara Wen stood beside the galactic representatives on the bridge of the Resolute, calm but unyielding. Transparency is a two-way street, Admiral, she replied smoothly. We have nothing to hide. The resources in question belong to humanity's sphere of influence. The tension thickened. Warships powered their energy weapons. Fighter squadrons took formation. Then, without warning, Luna itself trembled. Deep beneath the moon's desolate surface, seismic sensors in the secret command center beneath the South Pole flared red. Colonel Thorne, the hull integrity sensors. Report structural shifts in the southern quadrant, the AI intoned. Energy levels spiking beyond normal parameters. Sarah Thorne's eyes narrowed. Status report. Is the Terran Resolve powering up? Yes, ma'am. The Gaia-class entity, 1001, is coming online. Defensive protocols active. In orbit, the conquered fleet watched in stunned silence as the moon's crust cracked open with a soundless roar, the surface breaking apart like glass. A massive form began to emerge, a shape impossible to comprehend at first glance. A warship, larger than many planets, its armor shimmering with layers of neutronium and energy shields, slowly unfolded from the broken fragments. Turrets the size of mountains rotated, and glowing weapons hummed with lethal promise. The flagship's AI voice echoed through comm channels of every vessel. This is Terran Resolve. Planetary defense protocol initiated. All hostile forces. Stand down or be destroyed. Chaos erupted. Admiral Vinar's eyes narrowed to slits. What? Is this sorcery? Retract all weapons, a human officer ordered aboard the Resolute. This is our show now. The Drakari flagship fired a warning shot that barely grazed the outer shields of Terran Resolve. The response was instantaneous, a pulse wave of energy so immense it knocked the Drakari ship out of formation. Cease fire. Admiral Vinar barked, but the damage was done. On Earth, General Marcus Raines stood in the War Command Center watching the live feed with a grim smile. They didn't expect this, he muttered. A planet-sized warship, hidden beneath the moon for decades. We've been silent predators all along. Beside him, Colonel Thorne's voice came over comms, steady despite the tension. Terran Resolve is fully operational. Defensive systems at 100%. The fleet is ready for any escalation. The galactic viewers across the spectrum of species were witnessing something unprecedented. Humanity's secret weapon unveiled, not as a threat of conquest, but as a shield of survival. Meanwhile, aboard Terran Resolve, Captain Eli Vargas prepared his crew for the inevitable. Status report, he demanded. Energy levels at maximum. Weapons calibrated and ready, the AI reported. Enemy fleet remains in formation, but has not resumed offensive action. Good, Vargas said. We fight if we must, but Earth's orbit is not a battlefield. This is our declaration. We will not be bullied. The Galactic Council scrambled to regain control of the situation. Counselor Vinar sent an urgent message. Humans, your actions escalate tensions. Withdraw your warship and allow peaceful negotiations. The AI of Terran Resolve replied, cold and clear. Peace is impossible without truth. Our defenses will hold. The galaxy will learn that humanity is no longer a species to be underestimated. On the Vanguard's wrath, murmurs of fear rippled through the bridge crew. One Drakari officer whispered, we misjudge them. Their technology, their will, it's beyond anything we imagined. Prepare for retreat, Admiral Vinar ordered, reluctantly. We live to fight another day. As the Concord fleet disengaged, Ambassador Wen turned to her fellow humans aboard Resolute. The time of hiding is over, she said. Humanity's warships are no myth. They are real, powerful, and ready. General Rains nodded, and the galaxy's unprepared for what comes next. In the dark recesses of the moon's cavern, Colonel Thorne stared at the glowing map of the Gaia-class fleet hidden throughout the solar system. We've revealed ourselves, she said quietly. And they've seen what it means to challenge. Earth, Rains replied. Outside, the stars shone indifferent, unaware that the balance of power had just shifted, and that humanity was no longer the weak underdog. The revelation of Terran Resolve had shattered the Galactic Concord's complacency, but what truly shattered their expectations was yet to come. Far beyond the crowded orbits of Earth and Luna, deep within the dark pockets of the solar system, a silent symphony began to unfold. Orbiting the frozen dwarf planet Sedna, a faint shimmer appeared, too subtle for most scanners to detect. Then, like a stone dropped into a still lake, waves of energy rippled outward as another Titan awoke. The moon-sized warship Aegis of Dawn unfurled its armored plates with deliberate grace, its surface a labyrinth of weapon emplacements, sensor, arrays, and energy conduits glowing with otherworldly power. On board, Captain Leon Graves activated the ship's main systems. Power to full operational, Graves commanded, her voice steady but electric with anticipation. All weapon systems online, shield stable. Cloak disengage in 3, 2, 1. A ghostly shimmer vanished as Aegis of Dawn slipped into the void, no longer hidden from prying eyes. Elsewhere, orbiting a rogue planet lost in the Sagittarius, Arm, another colossal warship, Vigilant Retribution, came alive from its centuries-long slumber. Inside its command deck, Admiral Kellen Stark surveyed holographic images of the galactic map. We are not alone, he said to his officers. The fleet is rising. It's time the galaxy learned who built these titans, and why. Back inside the Galactic Concord Council chambers, panic rippled through the delegates. More warships? How many? Counselor Vinar demanded, struggling to maintain control. Preliminary scans indicate at least a dozen similar constructs, the science advisor reported grimly. All planet-sized, heavily armed, and cloaked in advanced stealth. Ambassador Hara Wen remained composed but resolute. They were built in secret. By humanity, she confirmed. Each ship a fortress, a citadel of war and defense, hidden throughout the solar system and beyond. The room fell into stunned silence. The old belief that humanity was a minor player in galactic politics shattered like glass. In a hidden lunar base, General Marcus Rains stood with Colonel Sarah Thorne before a colossal hologram displaying the entire Gaia-class fleet. These ships aren't just weapons, Rains said. They're ecosystems, command centers, and war machines all in one. Each can sustain millions of crew and each has AI minds capable of independent action. Thorne's eyes scanned the projections, lingering on a cluster of ships marked as Sentinels, designed for rapid response and planetary defense. The Conquered won't know what hit them, she said quietly. They think we built one warship. They haven't seen the fleet. Meanwhile, across the galaxy, news spread like wildfire. Bounty hunters, smugglers, and spies scrambled to get closer looks at the massive warships that now revealed themselves. No longer ghosts, but titans made flesh and steel. In the Corel homeworld's capital, Admiral Tikan pounded his fist on the War Council table. We must reconsider our stance on humanity. They possess weapons that could level entire worlds. We face not just a threat, but a new power rising. In deep space, Aegis of Dawn launched a reconnaissance fleet of sleek fighters, their black hulls blending with the void. Captain Graves watched the tactical display as her pilots pushed toward the edges of known space, seeking any signs of the approaching threat humanity had long prepared for. Keep formation, she ordered. We are the shield of this galaxy now. Back on Earth, General Rains walked through the bustling command center. Screens flickered with intelligence reports, fleet movements, and intercepted communications. We've hidden these ships for decades, built them from stolen fragments, salvage technology, and relentless human ingenuity, he told a group of junior officers. No one expected us, and that's our advantage. A young officer raised a hand. Sir, do you think the galaxy will accept this? Our sudden rise to power? Rains smiled grimly. Acceptance is irrelevant. Survival is everything. The Galactic Conquered scrambled to respond, but their fleets were no match for the Gaia-class Titans. In the shadow of a dead star, vigilant retribution tested its weapon systems. Energy beams lanced out, incinerating a derelict satellite with terrifying precision. Admiral Stark's voice crackled over comms to Earth. Let the galaxy see what humanity is capable of. As the Titans emerged from their hiding places, an uneasy silence settled over the galaxy. The very fabric of power had shifted. The Galactic Concord faced a choice: adapt or be swept aside. But one thing was clear. Humanity had not only built planet-sized warships, humanity had built the future of war itself. The halls of the Galactic Concord's Citadel of Light were filled with whispers, accusations, and the heavy weight of uncertainty. The revelation of humanity's titanic warships had sent ripples through every corner of the galaxy, and the Council struggled to maintain order. Councillor Vinar paced the chamber, his 6 eyes darting between his fellow delegates. We cannot allow humanity's defiance to go unchallenged. Their fleet threatens the balance of power and the very peace we have fought to maintain. Across from him, Ambassador Hera Wen stood composed, her voice steady and measured. We do not seek war, she said, but we will defend ourselves. The fleet you see is a symbol of survival, not conquest. A chorus of protests rose from various species, each voicing their fears and suspicions. Meanwhile, deep in the human diplomatic enclave orbiting Earth, a secret meeting was underway. General Marcus Rains, Ambassador Wen, and Colonel Sarah Thorne gathered around a holographic map of the galaxy, marked with known conquered fleets and Gaia-class ship locations. We've provoked them, Thorne said, bluntly. The Council won't back down until they understand the price of underestimating us. Wen nodded. They need a message, something clear, but not a declaration of war. Rains tapped a datapad. Then we use diplomacy as a weapon. I want envoys sent to the major powers, the Drakari, the Corel, even the Sithari. Show them the fleet's power, yes, but offer peace. Terms they can't refuse. Thorne's eyes narrowed. And if they refuse? Then we fight, Rains said simply, but only on our terms. In the capital of the Drakari Empire, Ambassador Karan faced an unexpected visitor, a human envoy, Lieutenant Mira Chen, escorted by an elite Gaia-class fighter pilot. Karan's reptilian scales shimmered with suspicion. You come bearing a warning? Chen's voice was calm, diplomatic, but edged with steel. A warning, yes, but also an offer. Humanity's warships are real, They're powerful beyond your reckoning. We offer peace, recognition of our sovereignty and a seat at the table, Karan hissed softly. You would threaten us with your weapons and call it peace? No, Chen replied evenly. We call it survival. You choose, coexistence or conflict. Back aboard Terran Resolve, Captain Eli Vargas prepared a transmission to the Galactic Council. Message drafted and encoded, Captain, the AI informed him. Ready for broadcast. Vargas nodded. Send it. Let them hear our voice. The transmission echoed across the galactic net, a declaration of strength, a call for peace, and a warning that humanity's patience had limits. The council reception to the message was mixed. Some saw it as a bold gesture, others a declaration of war in disguise. Councillor Vinar raged. They seek to intimidate us, to force us into submission. But Ambassador Lissa, a Scythery diplomat, cautioned restraint. We must consider the cost of conflict. Their fleet could annihilate us. Meanwhile, Lieutenant Morvis, the Corel scout who had lost his ship near the asteroid mines, was recovering in a medical facility on the Corel homeworld. His thoughts were clouded by the recent revelations. They have been preparing for this war longer than we can imagine, he told his commanding officer. Their warships aren't just weapons, they're legacies. On Earth, Colonel Thorne watched the galaxy's reaction unfold. The diplomatic gambit was only the first move in a far more dangerous game. We've shown them the fleet, she said. Now they know humanity is not the underdog. General Rains turned to her, eyes steely. And now we prepare for whatever comes next. The galaxy held its breath. Between shadows of diplomacy and whispers of war, the titanic fleets of humanity and the Galactic Concord edged closer to a confrontation that would change the cosmos forever. The galaxy was no longer a calm sea, but a tempest, roiling and unpredictable. After the broadcast of humanity's declaration aboard Terran Resolve, the Galactic Concord scrambled to respond. Fleet movements accelerated, diplomatic envoys hurried through hyperlanes, clandestine meetings convened in shadowed corners of starports and neutral systems. On the bridge of the Vanguard's Wrath, Admiral Vinar paced like a caged predator. His eyes burned with frustration. Humanity's arrogance grows, he snarled. They flaunt their warships as if daring us to strike first. Lieutenant Morvis, recently recovered but restless, stepped forward. Admiral, intelligence reports suggest their fleet is larger than we feared. The Gaia-class ships can operate independently, and they possess AI that rivals even our best. Vinar's eyes narrowed. So we face not a fleet, but a swarm of planet-sized beasts. Precisely, Morvis replied. We must prepare for a war unlike any before. Meanwhile, deep within Earth's War Command Center, General Marcus Rains studied incoming reports with grim determination. The Concord will test us, he said, but they won't find an easy target. Our ships are ready. Colonel Sarah Thorne approached, datapad in hand. We've deployed reconnaissance units along key Concord supply routes. Any movement toward Earth, and we'll know immediately. Rains nodded. Good. We'll strike only when we have the advantage. In the Drakari Empire, Ambassador Karan convened a war council. Humanity threatens our sovereignty, he declared. We must unite the Concord fleets and crush their rebellion before it spreads. Councillor Vinar agreed. We will strike swiftly and decisively. Yet not all agreed. Ambassador Lissa, the Sithari, countered. A full-scale war would devastate the galaxy. We must seek alternatives or we will all perish. Her voice was drowned out by the drums of war. Back aboard Terran Resolve, Captain Eli Vargas oversaw preparations for battle. Training simulations show their tactics are predictable, he told his officers. We exploit their weaknesses, strike fast, and retreat if needed. These ships are powerful, but they're not invincible, the AI intoned calmly. Enemy fleets are assembling near the Rylax cluster. Hostile action imminent. Vargas gritted his teeth. Then we prepare to meet them head-on. Elsewhere, Lieutenant Mira Chen, now an experienced envoy, navigated tense negotiations with the Corel and other factions. We want peace, she told them. But make no mistake, if war comes, humanity will fight with everything it has. Her words echoed through conference halls and battle stations alike. In a hidden sector of space, the first clash occurred. A Corel strike force attempted to disable one of the Gaia-class warships patrolling near the outer colonies. The Sentinel's fury responded with devastating force. Energy cannons obliterated Corel frigates before they could close. The battle was swift but brutal. Lieutenant Morvis, aboard the crippled flagship Viper's Fang, sent a final transmission. Before silence, they were not ready. Humanity's giants are awake. The incident sent shockwaves across the Concord. Counselor Vinar seethed. This aggression must be answered. Ambassador Wen, back on Resolute, received the news with grim resolve. They attacked first, she declared. We will defend ourselves. On Earth, the people watched and waited. News feeds carried stories of the awakening fleet, of battles near distant colonies, and the uncertain fate of the galaxy. General Rains addressed the world. We face a pivotal moment in history. Humanity will no longer hide in shadows. We stand ready, united and strong. As fleets converged near the Rylax cluster, the first true battle loomed. Warships the size of worlds powered their weapons. Fighters scrambled to their launch bays, and commanders awaited the signal that would ignite the stars. Humanity's secret warships had stepped from the shadows, and the galaxy was poised on the brink of war. The void around the Rylax cluster became a churning maelstrom of light and fire. Humanity's Gaia-class warships and the Galactic Concord's combined fleets collided in a violent crescendo, shattering the stillness of space with thunderous energy. Blasts and the roar of engines pushed to their limits. Captain Eli Vargas stood on the command deck of Terran Resolve, eyes locked on the holomap pulsing with red and blue markers. Status report, he barked. Lieutenant Kira Danes responded rapidly. Enemy fleet concentrated in Sector 5. Fighter squadrons inbound, shields holding at 80%. Vargas clenched his fists. Launch interceptors. Deploy drone swarms to flank their cruisers. Keep the fighters off our main guns. The hum of activity filled the bridge as crews rushed to their stations, nerves taut but focused. Across the battlefield, Admiral Vinar's flagship Vanguard's Wrath bore the brunt of the human onslaught, his reptilian features twisted with rage and disbelief. How do they move so fast? He growled. Their fighters outmaneuver us. Their weapons cut through our shields like paper. A nearby officer shouted, Our cruisers are falling back. Reinforcements requested. Vinar snapped. No, we hold the line here. If we break, the entire Concord will crumble. In the chaos, Aegis of Dawn swooped low, her colossal turrets firing charged plasma bolts that tore through Drakari cruisers. Captain Leon Graves coordinated with the fleet's AI. Focus fire on the lead ships. We punch through and split their formation. Her voice was calm but fierce. The ship's massive engines roared as it adjusted position, launching a barrage of missiles that left trails of burning debris in their wake. Meanwhile, Vigilant Retribution engaged a Corel battle group, unleashing a devastating ion storm that disabled enemy weapon systems and crippled their shields. Admiral Kellen Stark's voice came over comms, icy and commanding. Show them humanity's fury, no mercy. Fighter pilots darted through the maelstrom like swarms of deadly insects. Lieutenant Mira Chen led a squadron of interceptors in tight formation, weaving through enemy fire to protect the larger ships. Target their fighters, she ordered. Keep their bombers away from our hulls. Her ship shuddered as a plasma blast grazed its shield, but Chen kept her cool. Back on Terran Resolve, Captain Vargas monitored battle damage and incoming communications. Report from the flank, Lieutenant Dane said. Enemy reinforcements approaching from the Nebula Rift. Vargas narrowed his eyes. Prepare to intercept. We can't let them outmaneuver us. As the battle raged, the sheer scale of humanity's warships became apparent. Each Gaia-class vessel functioned as a floating fortress, coordinating thousands of fighters, drone swarms, and ground assault teams. Their AI cores adapted to enemy tactics in real time, turning every engagement into a brutal chess match of strategy and firepower. But the Galactic Concord was no pushover. Drakari and Corel commanders rallied their fleets, shifting formations and exploiting every weakness. Battleships launched boarding parties, Fighter squadrons executed kamikaze runs, and colossal energy beams carved deadly arcs through the void. The warships groaned under the strain, armor plating scorched and torn. In a daring move, Admiral Vinar ordered a concentrated strike on Terran Resolve's aft shields. Hit them hard and fast, break their defenses and force a surrender. Captain Vargas anticipated the assault. Divert power to aft shields. Activate countermeasures. Prepare. Emergency protocols. Explosions rocked the ship as plasma cascaded against the shields. Alarms blared. Suddenly, an unexpected transmission crackled through the chaos. It was Ambassador Hara Wen. "Cease fire," she commanded, voice firm and unwavering. "This battle serves no one." Vargas hesitated, but relayed the message. "Admiral," Vinar snarled, "do not listen, we will finish this fight." But cracks appeared in the enemy's resolve. Communications buzzed with uncertainty. The battle paused, a fragile silence in the eye of the storm. Both sides reeled from losses, but remained determined. Captain Vargas looked around his weary crew. This is not the end. It's only the beginning. The clash had shown the galaxy that humanity's secret was no myth. They had the power to shape destinies and the will to use it. The war was far from over. The uneasy silence after the battle at Rylax hung heavy in the void. Both fleets retreated to lick their wounds, gathering in distant systems to assess the cost of the titanic clash. The galaxy's future balanced on a knife's edge. Aboard Terran Resolve, Captain Eli Vargas stood before a vast viewport, watching. Distant stars twinkle like silent witnesses. Around him, the crew busied themselves with repairs, their faces etched with exhaustion, but burning with resolve. Ambassador Hara Wen entered the room, her expression grave but hopeful. "The Council has convened an emergency summit," she said. "They want negotiations." Vargas nodded slowly. "After seeing what we're capable of, they know this war will destroy everything." Wen's eyes met his. "We have a chance to build a future, if we're willing to seize it." On the Galactic, Concord's flagship Counselor Vinar sat in bitter silence, staring at the shattered hologram of the Rylax battlefield. "We underestimated them," he muttered. "Humanity's power is unlike anything we've seen." Ambassador Lissa the Sithari approached quietly. "Perhaps it's time to accept a new order," she said softly. "We can negotiate peace before the next battle." Vinar's jaw clenched, torn between pride and pragmatism. In the Drakari Empire, Admiral Karan addressed his fleet. "We have faced a force beyond our reckoning," he admitted. "But we are not defeated. We will rebuild and adapt." Still, beneath his fierce words was a spark of respect for the human fleet's overwhelming strength. At a neutral station orbiting the trade hub of Calyx Prime, representatives of humanity and the Galactic Concord met face to face for the first time. Ambassador Wen stood before the Grand Assembly, her voice carrying across the chamber. "We did not seek this war," she declared. "But we were forced from the shadows to protect our future." Counselor Vinar rose, his tone wary but sincere. "The galaxy must evolve. Humanity is no longer a hidden power, but a defining force." Negotiations were tense, fraught with mistrust and bitter memories. Yet beneath the surface, a fragile understanding grew. The Gaia-class warships, symbols of human resilience and ingenuity, became the foundation of a new alliance, a balance between strength and cooperation. Back on Earth, General Marcus Raines watched the summit's progress with cautious optimism. "This is only the beginning," he told Colonel Sarah Thorne. "We've shown our strength. Now we must prove our wisdom." Thorne smiled faintly. A new dawn then. Far from the council chambers, in the quiet darkness of space, the Gaia-class fleet assembled once more, no longer hidden, no longer a secret. They were sentinels of a future forged in fire and hope. The galaxy had been unprepared for humanity's awakening, but now, with the warships towering like gods among stars, a new era began, one where humans were no longer the underdogs, but the architects of destiny.